Today, I want to give you an example of the hackathon that I conducted for a software company. But this hackathon is not connected to developing any software. The main goal of it was actually to find a solution for a business challenge and encourage team spirit. So this is the video case study, and you might find some useful information about how to conduct your own internal hackathon to solve your business challenge. Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel about co-creation. My name is Lisa, and I spent 5 years organizing collaborative university competitions for world well-known companies to help them solve their extreme innovation challenges. And now I help businesses innovate and solve their R&D and business challenges with hackathons. So before we start, I just want to talk about the company. And the company is a software solution provider for taxi and ride-hailing companies. So basically, when any person in the world decides to start an Uber-like business in their own area, they can go to this company and ask for a set of white label apps for their own brand to launch their transportation company. So this is a B2B market, and this market is connected to transportation as well. And the main goal for the client was to actually increase revenue and accelerate growth, of course. Now, as we are talking about the challenge, I have to admit that the main business model that the company uses is revenue share. So the more successful their customers are, the quicker they grow, the higher the clients' revenue. And one of the main challenges on the way to increasing revenue was the clients' customers, because they were not growing, and many of them were failing in their business journey, which is actually quite understandable, because most of the new businesses, most of the startups, they fail, and multiple reports, they just show that it's quite typical for a new business to struggle and fail and not to grow. So the client wanted to see how they could help their own customers to grow and fail less. And it was decided to try a business hackathon to gather potential solutions for this challenge. And it was decided that the hackathon would be a 2-day process. And the main reason for that, we did not expect any prototypes from the participants at the end of it. It was mostly about ideation. It was mostly about potential strategies, detailed strategies, but still strategies that participants could bring. It was also decided that the hackathon would be fully internal, meaning that only those people who work in this company would participate. And the reason for that was one of the goals of the client company. They wanted to have this as a kind of a team building event, letting different people from different departments meet each other, learn more about what they are doing, and kind of just really build this kind of team spirit. So that was really important, and that's why we decided that we are not inviting anyone else. And it was also decided that it's going to be a fully online process, because team members, they are working in different locations, in different countries. They were used to having only online communication. Now, I have to mention that the hackathon model that I used in that case, and that we use for any case, any hackathon model that we use at Disruptiv, is based on the method of collaborative university competitions that I had a chance to learn about when I was working at the innovation consulting company. And these collaborative university competitions, they have been tested on more than 30 leading companies such as Porsche, Kraft Heinz, Unilever, and other big names over the last 20 years. So this model differentiates from other hackathon models by adding collaboration, because it was really important for us to make not only participants of each team collaborate with each other, but to make different teams work together and collaborate and help each other. So teams were not left alone with their ideas. We added a brainstorming session right in the middle of the process, during which teams were able to exchange ideas with each other, discuss which solutions could work well together, discuss how to solve challenges and how to overcome weaknesses of each solution. Everyone was able to help and everyone was able to bring their insights not only to their team's solution, but also to other teams' solutions. We were also really focused on diversity and we invited all team members. It didn't matter for us whether they were working in the business department, whether they were working in marketing or in support. We invited our engineering departments, back-end, front-end developers, just everyone, because we wanted to have as many ideas as possible and a variety of insights, and we wanted to really help them to look at the challenge and at solutions of this challenge from many different angles. And of course, we wanted to motivate our teams as much as possible. That's why we introduced a number of different awards. And we introduced the implementation award for the solution that would be implemented straight away. And we introduced the creativity award for the most innovative solution as well. We also encouraged our participants to be active during the brainstorming session. So we introduced individual co-creation awards so that they could openly share their insights. Now, the whole process also included a number of preparation steps. I have a separate video about how to get ready for your hackathon, and I'm gonna link it. So the link will be somewhere here. And the step number one is actually deciding on the challenge, because yes, the problem is pretty clear, but we needed a very concrete challenge, a very specific challenge, very focused challenge, because I do believe that if you come up with a very general challenge, you will get general suggestions, and this is not something that you want. So we decided that our challenge, and that was approved with decision makers, of course, and we decided together with them actually. So it sounded like, how do we make X% of new partners get to Y trips per month? So imagine for a ride hailing, for a taxi company, the more trips the company makes, the higher revenue it has and the higher profit for our client company, of course. The next step was about defining the rules and requirements for this hackathon. And we decided that we don't really want to apply too many restrictions on the implementation time, on the budget, and introduce any other criteria. We wanted to let them explore all their different ideas to the fullest. We wanted them to bring all the creativity that they had. So yeah, no restrictions on that. But of course, if you are doing your own hackathon, you might want to introduce something like, for example, you don't have like too much money for your marketing strategy. So you might want to introduce a budget or a time frame within which you want to implement the solution, something like that. But we didn't do any of that. But as for the requirements for the solutions that we expected from our participants, they were the following. So we wanted them to bring us comprehensive strategies that would solve the challenge, that would allow X% of new partners to reach Y trips per month. And their solutions, their strategies that they had to bring should have included a description of an overall strategy, an implementation step-by-step plan with approximate time frames and approximate budget. Yes, we didn't put any restrictions, but we still wanted to know how much time it's going to take us to implement this strategy and what the budget should be. And yeah, we wanted them to justify their solutions. We wanted them so that they could show us why they believe their solution will actually solve this challenge. We allowed them to bring strategies connected to technical solutions, for example, new features that the client company had to implement. We allowed them to bring marketing campaigns, any changes in onboarding process for the customers, any changes in the system itself. So anything they felt would be right and anything they felt would solve the challenge, they were allowed to come up with. We also expected a presentation from each team about their strategy, and we also allowed them to build MVPs or mock-ups. They were appreciated but optional. So if the team felt like they don't have enough time to come up with any of those, it was totally fine to not do any prototypes. But the more details they were able to provide, the better it was. Now, the next step was about gathering background information. So I gathered all information that potentially could help our participants with the challenge. It included some company information, the information about current customers, information about who were able to reach good numbers, about the top customers of the client. So we brought this information, anything that we could get from our internal sources, and of course we checked some external sources to give them as much data as it was possible, because it's necessary for the participants to understand the problem in detail, the reasons why the problem occurred, what had already been done to solve the problem, what other companies might do with this problem. Also, I want to remind you that we had participants from different departments, and not all of them knew about the reasons why partners were failing. They didn't know, they just didn't have this data. They didn't work with this data before, and they don't need this data in their everyday work. So we needed to give them this information so that they can get these ideas on how to solve the challenge in their mind. And all this data was given to our participants before the hackathon, approximately 1 week before the hackathon. Again, this is also that I believe very important, because participants will be able to study this information and they will be able to come up with initial ideas, initial solutions. They would be able to come up with questions to ask, kind of an incubation phase. When you dive into information, when you study this subject and then you take some time off, and your brain on the background, it comes up with certain ideas and certain solutions just because you have this information gathered in your brain. And your brain knows that it needs to come up with something, so it produces some really creative ideas. On the fourth step of our preparation, we were deciding on awards, and I already mentioned them. It was really important to come up with the implementation awards, so we wanted to have a solution that could be brought into implementation right after the hackathon, something that would not take much time, something quick, but that could have a significant impact. Sometimes we don't see this solution in our everyday work. Now, the next award, the Creativity Award, we wanted our participants to be as creative as possible and come up with as crazy ideas as possible. You know, even it didn't really matter for us how much time such an idea could take or how much money it would take. And the Personal Co-Creation Award that I also mentioned, we wanted to give such an award to a team member who contributed the most during the brainstorming session. Because obviously everyone was coming from competing teams, and sometimes you might have this in your mind that, okay, why would I share this insight, or why would I share this solution or this idea on how to improve the other team's solution? if we are competing, right? But the next step was about gathering participants, and participation in this hackathon was voluntary. So we didn't want to make everyone participate. We wanted their free will, despite the fact that it was the holiday season, the end of the year. Almost 1/3 of the team, they decided to participate, so it was really great. Everyone was interested. Yeah, after that, we split participants into teams, and we made sure that all the different teams, they had people from different departments. So we did not allow them to form the teams themselves. We did it for them. I think it's really important because otherwise you would have a team that consists only of backend developers and there is no diversity. Then once we gathered all the participants, we set up the needed infrastructure, we prepared Slack channels for each team, we invited participants to these Slack channels. We did it again approximately 1 week before the hackathon, so we didn't wait for the day of the hackathon. We allowed teams to start sharing their ideas before the official start, and I think that this is also very important. Also, they were able to meet each other before the hackathon. Despite the fact they're all working together in one company, still, I do believe that many people were not that close, so they had a chance to talk before they start and get used to each other. And we also set up all the calls needed for this hackathon. We set up the first call, the introductory call, we set up Teams calls, we set up the call for the brainstorming session for the finale. So everything, we invited everyone so that all the participants knew what is happening when. We also asked teams to assign one person to be a team leader. I also believe that this is important for each team to have a team leader. It should be just a person who would, make sure that the solution is delivered on time. Also from my side, I prepared everything needed for our hackathon. I set up voting in Mentimeter, and voting is important because we wanted all the participants share their opinion about solutions of other teams. And of course, we needed voting based on criteria, based on requirements for the finale to define a winner. Then it was about preparing the templates on Miro for a brainstorming session. And these templates included the basic idea of the solution of each team. Also, these templates included weaknesses or challenges or questions to the solution of each team. And obviously we didn't have it before they started, but right after the first presentations that the teams showed, we had this information, I had this information, and I put it all in Miro templates that were ready before they started. I made sure that I'm ready from my side for everything. I'm ready to present the challenge. I'm ready to explain all the rules, that I have a presentation to show for the introductory meeting, that I know how it will look like. I prepared the agendas. I also shared these agendas with participants. So all these details, they were ready before they start. Now, I have to admit that it's not easy to conduct a hackathon alone, even if it's an internal hackathon only, if you don't invite anyone from the outside and you do it only with a client company. It's still not easy, it's still quite challenging. I made it, but oh my God, you really need to be experienced and you need to know all these details, what might happen during the process, because you need to be aware of it. It's quite challenging to facilitate such a thing all alone. But anyway, once everything was ready, was just the time for the hackathon. And during the hackathon, the very first day was dedicated to the introductory meeting. It was quite quick. We introduced the challenge once again. We introduced the background information once again. We introduced the process once again. And we allowed everyone to ask their questions. Of course, it was allowed to ask questions before the hackathon in a separate Slack channel where all the participants were invited. Yes, we had a Q&A session after the introductory meeting, and right after that, all the participants went to work within their team. So the very first day of the hackathon was all about the teamwork, because the second day of the hackathon started with their initial presentations. For these initial presentations, we did not invite any decision maker. We did it like only with participants. So participants had 10 minutes to present their strategy. It was just like a good rehearsal to them. They were able to express their ideas, share it with their peers, understand which questions their peers had, see challenges and weaknesses of their solution. And we had this very first like Mentimeter session. And in this session, participants did not vote for each other's solutions based on criteria, but they were able to anonymously express their opinion, their concerns, whether they liked the solution, whether they didn't like the solution of each team, and what were the challenges, potential weaknesses connected to these solutions. So they were just able to share openly their feedback. After that, we had a coffee break. Everyone was able to relax a bit before the brainstorming session. And meanwhile, I put all these questions that we received, all these weaknesses and challenges that other participants expressed about different solutions. I just put it all in Miro, using the templates that I prepared before. So each team, they had their own kind of table with concerns and challenges and questions about their solution. And after the coffee break, we got back to the brainstorming session where everyone was encouraged to participate, and we were addressing each concern, each question, each challenge of each team's solution one by one. We were trying to also see how we can combine different ideas to make something even greater. So after the brainstorming session, participants, all the teams, they were able to get back to the teamwork, finalize their strategies, finalize their ideas, and get ready for the final presentations. And the final presentations, they took place in the same day, just in the evening, and all the decision makers were invited. And the decision makers were the clients' C-level executives and heads of the departments. And we went through all the presentations once again, 10 minutes for the presentation. That's how much time we allocated. And then there was a Q&A part for 5 minutes. So decision makers, the jury, were able to ask their own questions about solutions. And also in parallel, we conducted another voting in Mentimeter, and this voting was a real voting, not just sharing feedback, but rating solutions based on different criteria, based on how creative this solution was, how easy it is to implement, because we needed to kind of assign the awards based on how much money, how much time it might take to implement it. So we gathered all this voting, so everyone was allowed to vote, participants, decision makers, because I do believe that it's really important to gather opinions of participants as well. And I do believe I just should make another video about it, about why it is really important to listen to what participants want to say and how they see the solutions of other teams, and not fully rely on what decision makers have in their mind, because there are so many biases in our minds. I'm sorry to say, but decision makers and management of our companies, they also have these biases. Anyway, after these final presentations were over, we had a separate meeting with decision makers, with the jury, where they, based on the voting on Mentimeter, they made a decision who will get the awards, which teams will get the awards. They also decided to give a special most valuable player award to a person who came up with a technical solution. There was one team that came up with a prototype, and there was this one person who made it happen. So there was a separate financial award for this person. So the implementation award got the solution that was quite easy to come up with, to implement, that did not require significant investments. It just used the information from the system and was based on the information that the system was already gathering. And I do believe that this solution is in process of implementation. That's something that I heard. So they are working on this solution, which is great to hear. There was also another solution that got the creativity award. It was like, as far as I remember, this solution was based on gamification, which is also very interesting. And I do believe that no one in the industry, I mean, among competitors of the company, nobody is doing that. So this solution got the creativity award. And the co-creation award was split between two persons. I believe everyone was happy with the awards, despite the fact that it was an internal hackathon. So we did not invite anyone from the outside, any partners. We did not invite any other teams, any other experts. There was quite a high level of creativity. Some solutions included AI, of course, AI, advanced analytics. These solutions were taking into account existing platforms, features, and some simple indicators that could improve these features. Some solutions introduced new features for the system. It was like really so many different ideas. And I also believe it helped team members from various departments understand what other departments are doing, because I do believe it's often a problem for many companies when you have many different departments. You just don't know what marketing is doing, or what sales are doing, or what these backend developers are doing, what they are focused on, and how they look at the system. After the hackathon, all the different solutions, all the different ideas, even the ones that were not included in final presentations of participants, all sessions recording, they were gathered and transferred to the client company. I also gathered the feedback from the participants about the hackathon's organizations, because it was important for me to understand where I need to improve. Because I want to learn and I want to improve the processes I'm working on. I need to understand how to do that. I need to hear from people that participate in these processes. I need to see what I can do better. But yeah, participants shared with me that it was one of the best team building events that they have had over the past years. And they were happy and excited to participate, and they enjoyed the hackathon, and they would love to see it as an annual event. Also, this event, the hackathon, inspired creativity and increased motivation among team members. So it was really nice. Among something that I wanted to improve, also based on the feedback and based on my experience with this hackathon, there are a couple of things. And first of all, I will never do it alone again. Never. Luckily, I have a team at Disruptiv. I'm not doing it alone. With my company Disruptiv, I have people, really experienced people to help me with that. Experienced in research and development, experienced in innovation management, that worked with largest manufacturing companies, and have scientific background, which is really important because I want to do more scientific hackathons. Another thing that I would definitely improve, I would have a final party event. I don't know, like, how we can call it a party if it's an online event, but okay, like, anyway, there should be a meeting, an online meeting, an offline meeting, where everyone can just chill, relax, and talk to each other, because this is really needed, and this was also requested by participants. And also, of course, I do believe that it's important to have meetings, separate meetings with each team before the process, to explain all the details, to explain the challenge, to explain all this background information, because this is something that I was always doing with collaborative university competitions when I was working with my university teams. I was always in touch with my teams, and I was always making sure that they understand everything, and we had these calls. This time it was like, it didn't feel like there was a need, but I do see that there is a need to still talk to each team separately before the official start of the process. And it is absolutely necessary with external teams. When you invite someone from the outside, I do believe it is important to talk to these people before the official start of the process. So this is something that I recommend you to do. This is it, I believe. I hope this video was useful for you, and I hope that it just explained how you can use the hackathon for your own company, for your own business. And yeah, if you have any questions, I hope I didn't forget to mention anything. But there are always so many details with these hackathons, with such events. It takes so much time to organize. I might have forgotten something. So if I have, or if you have any questions, just please let me know in the comment section, or just text me on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to help you and answer these questions. Thank you for watching this video, and see you next time. Have a good one. Bye!